Hello and welcome back to EFD, where today we're looking at the top 10 most tragic clubs to support. I just want to say I did not write this, but before we start, make sure you click on the bell next to the subscribe button to turn notifications on, and you'll get a notification every time we upload a video. It will help us out so much, especially with the way YouTube is at the moment. But without further ado, let's get going. 10. Derby County. Worst team to support in world football. Instantly our hearts go out to the poor Derby County fans of 2007-08 who were innocent witnesses of the club's slaughter in the Premier League. After entering the top flight via the playoffs, Derby broke their record transfer fee, bringing in Robert Earnshaw from Norwich, whose career at Pride Park pretty much encapsulates the Rams' entire season. The £3.5 million man was brought in to terrify Premier League defenders, but managed just one goal over their abysmal season. By November they were struggling and without a manager, but what is the best thing to throw at a burning Prem campaign? Money, mate. Or not. Buying 8 players in January, including Robbie Savage, caused little more than unsettling the squad, and they were relegated 2 months later, the earliest any team had ever been knocked out of the league. Another defeat in the playoff finals in May 2018, Derby County are without any form of silverware for 31 years. Woeful for a side who won the league twice under Brian Clough. 9. Tasmania 1900 Berlin. While we aren't sure there is ever a particularly great time to be a Tasmania 1900 Berlin fan, 1965-66 was a horrific year for their faithful. In 66, Hertha Berlin had been relegated from the German top flight after breaking FIFA's financial guidelines. League stipulation meant that their replacement in the Bundesliga must come from the same city. And after 2 other Berlin sides wisely turned down the offer, Tasmania stepped up to bask in the glamorous pool of top-flight football. Or so they thought. Unsurprisingly, they weren't cut out for the Bundesliga and conceded 108 goals over the course of the season, scoring just 15, and in the process obtained the lowest tally of points ever recorded in Germany, collecting 10 points from 28 losses and just 2 wins. 31 consecutive matches without a win, 10 on the trot losses, and the only Bundesliga team to not win away games was quite impressive work all in a year, but not the David and Goliath story they had hoped for. On the positive side, their 827 fans in the 100,000 capacity Olympic Stadium at least meant that not many people witnessed their epic failure. 8. Notts County. Notts County are the oldest football club in the world, having been formed in 1862, but that is the only title that they can claim. Having last been in the top flight in the early 90s, County have had 29 managers since 2000, including Neil Warnock and Sam Allardyce, with only 3 of those coaches managing to average over a 50% win rate. Poor performances on the pitch have been matched by disorganisation in the boardroom. Financial nightmares have been part of the furniture at Meadow Lane. In 2003, they avoided dissolution by the skin of their teeth, depending on their fans to stay afloat. The club didn't thank their faithful, as 7 years later Peter Trembling collected £500,000 worth of debt before selling Notts to Ray True for £1 measly pound. Currently managed by 35-year-old Kevin Nolan, they've toyed with the idea of promotion up to the 3rd flight this season, but a meltdown in the post-match interview summed up Nolan's season after County gave away a last-minute penalty to lose a first leg lead to Coventry. So things might be looking slightly up for the Northerners, but when Nottingham Forest are your more celebrated neighbours and Harold Shipman features on your list of famous fans, being a Magpie definitely counts as an infliction. 7. England. Forget the 3 Lions. Heartbreak after unexplained hope and expectation should be the symbol of the England national team. One World Cup win half a century ago has given the deranged England faithful the idea that they're not only owed a place in every major tournament, but should be making it to the semis, despite not getting that far since 1990. What must be one of the most exhausting nations to support, England's teams that have consisted of Rooney, Beckham and Gerrard have failed to produce again and again. In fact, in 10 years they haven't gone past the round of 16 in a World Cup and exited the last major tournament at the hands of that well-known footballing nation, Iceland. While the fans might be insufferable with their misplaced positivity, it's difficult not to note how tragic England's recent history has been. The hand of God, Beckham's red card, Ronaldo's wink, Lampard's goal, and the Wally with the brolly all come to mind if you think of the 3 Lions' recent form. Yet still, inventing the game back in 1869 means they will have a claim on the trophy this summer too, even with Phil Jones and that guy Welbs in the squad. 6. Rangers. When a criminal investigation into Craig White's takeover of Rangers meant that the Scottish Giants spent 2012 in the 4th tier, it was really just the beginning of their woes. Looking at the rest of this list, the Ibrox faithful should be thankful that their club managed to rise back up to the top flight. But for the Gers, who have won more league titles and trebles than any other club in the world, winning absolutely nothing in the last 8 years is dire. And when you bear in mind that the woeful state of the SPL is nothing short of embarrassing. To make things worse for the Teddy Bears, Celtic have moved within touching distance of back-to-back trebles under Brendan Rodgers and 7 consecutive title wins. Since 2015, they have won just one of the 12 meetings against their bitter rivals, with the most recent Old Firm derby ending in a 5-0 defeat. We're not sure that Steven Gerrard really knows what he's got himself into. 5. Catania. Sicilian side Catania have won titles at every level of Italian football, bar Serie A. The Elephants might not be totally shy of success, but their constant stream of controversy has probably given more of their fans more blood pressure problems than any other side in Europe. In 1983-84, Catania had risen to the Italian top flight, but what is a regular motif in this list, promotion was more of a curse than a blessing. They won just one league game all season, collecting a tally of just 12 points to earn them immediate relegation back to the 2nd tier, an achievement that probably hasn't made it into Claudio Ranieri's trophy cabinet, who is actually playing in this record-breaking side. While Catania spent the rest of the 80s in the 3rd division, in 2012 they had bounced back into Serie A after winning a record number of games and finishing just 5 points away from Europa League football. Unfortunately, after the peak came a fall for the Rosazzurri, who faced back-to-back relegations in 2013 and 2014 after their owner Antonio Polverenti admitted to match fixing. 4. Zaire. You'd be forgiven for not having heard of Zaire, who are now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the name change was probably a wise idea considering the terrible attention attracted by the Zaire side of 1974. They'd reached the impressive feat of being the first ever African nation to qualify for the World Cup. Unfortunately though, the Zaire side didn't do wonders for the reputation of African football, and wasted the time of their fans who had made the 3,500-mile journey to West Germany for the tournament. Conceding 14 goals without scoring and losing 9-0 to Yugoslavia made sure their names went down in the tournament's history books. And just to humiliate the fans even more, the national side were accused of not even knowing the rules of the game, after a Zairean defender booted away the ball during an opponent's free kick. The peak of Zaire's footballing accomplishments was a 3-0 defeat against Brazil, making them one of the worst teams to have supported in footballing history. 3. Leeds United. Leeds United fans will constantly tell you about their leading role in football's history books, and really we can't blame them for harping back to the past when their present is so woeful. They might have been European Cup runners-up in 1975 and lifted the top flight title 3 times, but these days the most exciting it gets for the fans of Leeds are a rare flirt with relegation. Leeds fans have been some of the most notoriously loyal in the business, but their lack of entertainment and continual failures must be testing the Peacock's patience. In 2016-17, they collapsed with 8 games to go, dropping from a playoff spot to mid-table mediocrity. And it looks like it could be a while before Leeds have anything else to play for, climbing up to the dizzy heights of 13th, meaning it could be another 26 years until the damn United pick up more silverware. 2. Sunderland. Over the last 5 or so years, Sunderland have rapidly become the most depressing club in England, after dropping down to the 3rd tier for the first time in 130 years. With only League One football to look forward to, it's been a dark time for the Stadium of Light faithful, including our very own Dougie Critchley, who have watched the Black Cats finish in back-to-back bottom positions. The club's Baldwin Wall of Shame consists of Ellis Short, Margaret Byrne, Lee Congerton and Roberto Di Fanti, who have spent £1/3 billion to build the worst team in the club's history. Breaking all the wrong kinds of records this season, Sunderland recorded 21 home games without a win, the longest run ever made in the league, conceding a huge 78 goals and netting 30 fewer. Chris Colburn's side were letting in a goal every 52 minutes. Just 3 wins coming against Derby, Hull and on the last day of the season versus Wolves meant that the ex-Wales manager was handed his P45 and an escape out of England's most depressing side. That's an option that the 27,000 regular Wearside supporters don't have, with all their hope resting on Stuart Donald and co.'s recent takeover. 1. Brechin City. Scottish Championship side Brechin City topped the list as officially the most tragic team in world football. This year they have made history for being the only senior club ever in the UK to go all season without a win. Oh my Christ. Having guided City to the Scottish second tier for the first time in 11 years, Darren Dodd's sides endured a 36-game season grabbing just 4 points, an impressive 70 points behind St Mirren, who topped the table. A minus 70 goal difference and a spectacular run of 17 defeats on the bounce added to their record-breaking season. In their defence, they were one of only 2 part-time teams in the league, training just twice a week, but still 4 points from potential 108 is pretty inexcusable, and for the 25 regular travelling fans, totally depressing. Ken Ferguson, who started at Glebe Park as a club photographer and now sits in the owner's box, admitted that sinking back down to the 3rd tier will be relief for the club. He stated that City aren't a sacking club, and Dodd's real test would be recovering from this absolute nightmare. The level of determination and ambition that makes you the worst club to support in world football is pretty impressive. So those are our 10 worst teams to support. Have we missed any out? Let me know in the comments below. I'm pretty sure we've angered some of you, but if you've enjoyed this, why not check out Stat Wars The Champions with Michael McCubbin and the Seagull himself. And as always, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit the notification button, please. England, we're gonna win the World Cup.